Good evening, Devastuti.
A very good evening, Archana Ba.
Baido is also here. Good evening, Baido.
People will be, they'll be viewing in YouTube. So we should start by 7, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll do that.
Archana, our guest speaker join Koilan, huh?
Itialke dekha nai, but I think he'll join shortly.
Yeah. Archana, he's joining within a minute. I just called him.
Yeah, I left a message also.
Huh.
He's online. He's online. He'll be joining.
Yeah.
যিসকল পাৰ্টিচিপেণ্ট জইন কৰিছে মই সকলোকে অনুৰোধ কৰিছো যে প্ৰগ্ৰাম ষ্টাৰ্ট হোৱাৰ লগে লগে আপোনালোকে কাইণ্ডলি আপোনালোকৰ অডিঅ'টো মিউট কৰি ৰাখিব যাতে আমাৰ কোনো ধৰণৰ ডিষ্টাৰবেন্স নহয় কিন্তু লেকচাৰটো কমপ্লিট হোৱাৰ পিছত যেতিয়া আমাৰ ডিসকাশন আৰম্ভ হ'ব তেতিয়া আপোনালোকে আনমিউট কৰি আপোনালোকৰ প্ৰশ্ন সুধিব পাৰিব This is a special request from our side just so there is no disturbance and we can listen properly to our guest speaker.
I think.
Babon, Professor Coates wants to join. Please permit him to join. Babon.
Phone koi loba neki?
Okay.
Oh, he has joined.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Professor Coates.
Yeah, good evening, please.
Okay, so it's nice to see you after a long time.
Good. Good evening, Amitji. Namaste. Nice to see again. Okay, I think Archana, we can start now. We can start.
Yes.
Yeah.
Over to you. Devastuti.
Yes. A very good evening, everyone. So on the occasion of 75th Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we CTEF Assam chapter in collaboration with Gratia Technology Private Limited Guwahati have gathered here today for a virtual interactive session on the topic Education for All, Future Directions in Inclusion Education with special reference to NEP 2020. We are privileged to have with us today Professor Amit Coates, sir, to deliver the session. Shortly after his speech, we also have an interactive session where the members present today can give good questions and will be answered by sir. So before we formally start, I'd like to request Gratia Technology to play our national anthem. Over to Gratia. Thank you, Gratia. I now invite Professor Nilima Bhagavati Ma'am, International Secretary General CTEF and Chairman CTEF Assam Chapter to give the welcome address.
Dhanyabad, Devastuti. Namaste and namaskar to all. Moi prathame hokoluke hador namaskar janaisu. আৰু আজিৰ এই ৱেবিনাৰখনলৈ সকলোকে উষ্ম আদৰণি জনাইছো। I welcome each and everyone to this webinar, just to be flagged off for some time and request you all that and assure you, in fact, that this will be a very enlightened webinar today. Friends, before starting our webinar, let me just start few lines from the universal prayer. Om Sharve Shukhina Bhavantu, Sharve Santu Niramaya, Sharve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kachidukha Bhavet. May all may be prosperous and happiness. May all be free from illness. May all see what is spiritually uplifting. May no one suffer. The guest speaker of the month, Professor Amit Coates, and another introduction, my very beloved brother from Punjab. The viewers in YouTube, as well as who are participating through this link, the CTEF members from the entire states who are joining. Even I can see in front of me our Eastern Regional Council NCT member, Mr. Hakato, is there. I welcome you too, and all friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great moment for us because the theme which was in our mind for pretty long back has been materialized today. CTEF Assam has conducted a number of webinars. We did workshops, seminars for the last many, many years. In fact, from 2001, and especially all the more during the pandemic, the virtual increased during the pandemic. But this theme, I was always thinking in my mind that we have to undertake a very good initiative to organize one webinar, maybe in physical mode or maybe in online mode very soon. And today the day has come. Thank you, Professor Amit, for your response. It was really nice to hear you when you said, yes, I am joining. That is what motivated us really. And you are an excellent well-wisher, friend of Assam chapter, not only Assam chapter, of the entire CTEF, because you have been participating, cooperating, and supporting us for last many, many years. Friends, CTEF, maybe for some, is new Council for Teacher Education Foundation. Earlier it was known as Council for Teacher Education. The word foundation has been added when we're asked to do the new registration. The stalwarts of education, practically the father of CT, whom we call the father, Dr. Gulab Chaurasia. He was the founder president. Dr. Devraj Vis, our second national president. Dr. K. Pillai, Professor Rohidekar, and many more. They were, in fact, they were the torch bearers of CTEF, friends. And today, this particular organization, which was given birth by Dr. Chaurasia, it is now a matured organization, 35 years old. And during all these years' hard work, this organization is a leading organization in the country. In fact, let me tell you that throughout the year, Council for Teacher Education's all the national chapters and overseas chapters, they undertake various professional programs for the development of teachers. We have 22 national and we have 3 international, and some more are in the pipeline. And soon, if everything goes well, I think by the end of this year, we'll have 2 more international chapters joining us and 2 more national chapters joining us. I am happy to share with you that CTEF is undertaking the prime objective, which is developing committed, resourceful, and skillful teachers who can bring the greatest outcome in the field of education. And for that, throughout the year, we concentrate on teacher development programs. Every chapter, CTEF chapter, they take various teacher development programs, and through those programs, they try their best to bring the greatest outcome in the field of education. And for the student community too, we take various activities so that we can develop them holistically. So this in very brief, or in a nutshell, it is all about CTEF. If you can visit ctefglobal.in, you will know in details what we are doing and what are the coming events or the works we are going to do. Though in spite of all these programs, we are taking the privilege of two particular events this year. That is, we started in 21 June. One is the birth centenary of our founder president, Dr. Gratia, and the 75 years Amrit Mahotsav. So every month, synchronizing these two occasions, we are organizing various important need-based theme. And either it is a webinar, or it is an international one, or a national one, or it is a workshop. That is, the aim is to go and reach more and more our teachers in the different parts of the globe. Friends, for today's webinar, as I said in the beginning, we selected the theme, that is education for all. This is a these are the common words, education for all. But what is important, future directions in inclusive education with special reference to NEP 2020. Education for all is something, it's not very new to us. We have heard it many and many times again. But what is most important is the latest national education policy, what it is saying all about the educational structure, all about the courses, right from the foundation course to the higher education course, including teacher education course, etc., and many others. And regarding the inclusive education also, the NEP has stated an important quotation, which I will just tell you before summing up. When we say the inclusive or use the word inclusive education, it means children in the same class under the same roof. It's just a very simple, explanation. So inclusive education implies learning experiences of children who are excluded from education. And when we say excluded, there are a chunk of children we find. They may be the children who are hard to reach. They may be the children who live on the streets. They may be the children who live in the forests. They may be the minority. They may be who are differently able. They may be who are, like traditionally we say, traditionally excluded from the light of education. Therefore, inclusive education, what is required? What is the purpose? The purpose is what? To respect and to understand the value of the diversity and the contributions which is given by each and every children, mind you, each and every children in the field of education. That is what is important, or what is the purpose of inclusive education. If we refer to the laws, or if we just talk, or if we talk about our constitution, we find that education for all is being very well clearly focused. The constitution or the laws, it said that education is the basic right, so that education can provide opportunities, give equality, equity, and access to all children from all walks of life. Therefore, this inclusive education, which we have taken as a theme today, it carries a deep meaning, which we have to take it very seriously for correct implementation in these coming days. Friends, we all know about inclusive education, but what is required right now is not to understand simply inclusive education, but to translate it. translate into action. From the very experiences of all the educators, teacher educators, or anyone, they have seen that when you go to a school, practically I have visited a number of schools, even in this metro, even in Guwahati city. Sometimes I get paid, I feel paid to see some children who are differently able. They have no place, no say, no words in the classroom. They are not being addressed. So similarly, there may be some other cases like that. So what is our concern? Our concern is to think about this issue very, very seriously. We have to bring all the children to school, and we have to give the way we should give them the education. And for that, we have teachers. The teachers must be trained. Sometimes some school principals say that we don't have teachers. Then my instant response is, why can't you train the teachers to handle the students in the classroom who come with problems or who come from some other areas? Anyway, but what is another very serious part, which I just want to tell you very briefly, that though we are talking about education for all, it was the Economic Times, if I remember correctly, it was 10th October 2021, where it reflected some states where there is larger outs of school children. I'll just tell you briefly about Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh identified 5.5 lakhs OSC, out of school children. They have never come to school. If you talk about Jharkhand, 6.2 lakhs. It is of course all official, out of school children. If you talk about Rajasthan, it is 1.8 lakhs OSC. In case of Assam, it is 86,094 out of school children. Bihar, 68,256 OSC. But maybe there will be more because this is the official data which I have collected. And the overall dropout, which is also very pathetic, is highest in Orissa, which is 22.5. So these are some of the issues which I am just pointing, taking the privilege in this platform, that we have to think very deeply to bring all the children to school, and particularly when we're talking of inclusive education. Friends, I will not take long because our guest of the month, he will appraise everything very nicely. I assure you that. And you can also clear all your doubts. But today, the webinar bears its importance because Professor Amit Kout is going to show us the way how we should move. Professor Amit Kout, we have wonderful teachers. They need guidance. We have great teachers because they need guidance. If you just show us the path, definitely this very theme of the webinar, we can translate into action. We can translate into reality. So we are very hopeful that this webinar will be impactful. It will be very effective, and everybody who is listening and who will be joining, maybe they will gain immensely from it. With these words, I declare that this webinar is open, synchronizing with the 75 years of Amrit Mahotsav, and hope more and more webinars on particular need-based themes will come. We want your cooperations, all of you. We want your support so that we can devote and work dedicatedly in the field of education to make it the best sector out of all the sectors, the education sector. Thank you, my friends. I welcome all of you again. I welcome again, particularly repeating Professor Amit Kout for being here virtually. His presence it means a lot to us. He's a global teacher, in fact. I left out this word. Each and everybody knows him in India, I think even abroad. So we are lucky that he is here today. And let me add you, maybe this is from my age is coming, because I am in association with him for a long time. He is an excellent father who nurtured his son, who was the chess champion, national champion in the country, and very successfully he is sending him to higher education now, Amit Kout. Thank you very much, all of you. And I wish this will be a very impactful webinar. With these words, it's over to Devastuti. Thank you and namaskar to all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So indeed, we are privileged to have with us Professor Amit Kaur, sir. I now request Dr. Archana Bhattacharjee, ma'am, Vice Chairman, CTEF Assam Chapter, to introduce our chief speaker, Professor Amit Kaur.
Thank you, Devastuti. So good evening, namaste, Professor Kotz, and all the participants and the viewers who are watching us live stream here today for this special program. And for your information, let me tell you, we are indeed lucky to have such a dynamic, resourceful speaker in our midst today. Thank you, sir, for taking time out to be in our midst. And now it is my privilege to get the opportunity to introduce you to him, to introduce all of you to such a dynamic resource person. Professor Amit Kaur is a former head, Department of Education and serving Dean, Faculty of Education, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. He is postgraduate in education as well as geography and PhD in education. He served as a teacher educator and has 25 years of teaching in university and colleges at both the postgraduate and undergraduate level. He has teaching experience in area of research methodology, education evaluation, pedagogy, and educational technology. He has served as a principal in Postgraduate College of Education for more than 11 years. His research focuses on educational development, ICT-based pedagogy, and various dimensions of teacher education. He has mentored one postdoctoral research sponsored by ICSSR, 16 doctoral researches, and has authored and co-authored over 75 research papers and has participated in more than 90 conferences and workshops at a national and international level. He has delivered more than 85 keynote addresses in various seminars and conferences and frequent speakers at various HRDCs of various universities. He has also been the Dean and Convener of the Board of Studies in Education, both at the UG and the PG level. He has coordinated more than 6 refresher courses and 23 short-term courses. He is also serving for the Ministry of Human Resources Development, Government of India funded project, School of Education at GNDU under Pandit Mohan Malviya National Mission for Teachers and Teaching as coordinator. He is also the visiting member for NCTE and NAC and UGC assignments in various capacities. There's a lot more to say about him, but time constraint won't permit me, so I'd rather hand over the mic to our special speaker this evening because I'm sure all are eager to listen to you. So it's over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Ashna, Professor Nirima Bhagwati, other dignitaries of Council for Teacher Education Assam chapter, and participants on this platform. It's always a pleasure to be a part of any program which CTE Assam is organizing, and I have been very frequently a part of many of the programs, maybe as a resource person or maybe as a participant. So it always gives a kind of enthusiasm the way these programs are being conducted, and because of this dedication and this commitment, probably CTE Assam chapter is coming on the top amongst all the chapters. It is not a question of leading or giving a model of functioning of a chapter, but basically it's a question of the kind of commitment you have for the profession. And I've always seen Professor Nilima Bhagwati, whenever you talk to her, you'll find she always have some concerns for teaching profession, teachers, their professional development. the organization in which she is working. She would always like other chapters also to go ahead and keep on organizing various programs, because the vision which Chaurasia Saab and Viz Saab had for this organization was a big one. They thought, and they always planned that it should it should rise to the level wherein we can for so many activities which can help this community to flourish. And it was with the efforts of these kind of organization only when NCT came into picture, like giving the status of a profession to teacher education. I'm not a person of basically inclusive education. Let me be very frank with you. But when there is a call from Professor Nilima, I cannot say no. One is she is just like a elder sister, very affectionate, very caring, always concerned, and always concerned at a personal level. So now also you have seen that there was not an occasion, but she talked about government, and that gives you a kind of connect with her. Second is this organization is I've seen Professor D.R. Vij very closely. I was also working in Jalandhar where he was residing, so we had personal and family relations. Whenever I talk of and think of Professor D.R. Vij, I always reminded of one of his couplets, which I found that he had been working with that conviction. He used to say that वो हिलागर हैं जो मजबूरियां शुमार करें. Hilagar means you are बहानेबाज, like you are giving excuses for not doing things. So वो हिलागर हैं जो मजबूरियां शुमार करें. शुमार means count करें. So वो हिलागर हैं जो who are giving excuses for one reason or the other. वो हिलागर हैं जो मजबूरियां शुमार करें. चिराग हमने जलाए हैं हवा के होते हुए. So this is how Professor Vij has been working in spite of so many problems. He would never share with anybody. In spite of so many problems, he would keep on working and keep on putting different success to the organization and to himself. But as far as inclusive education is concerned, let me start with the one experience, and then we'll come to what a national education policy said about let me share my screen. Yeah. So what national education policy said about inclusiveness and what is the way ahead. Yeah. So is the screen visible now?
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. So let me share one incident. I was in Barcelona for attending a education conference, and it was 4 days conference. We were attending one session, another one. Like they used to be a list, and they would divide like such and such person in his or her chairmanship. These people are going to present papers in this room, that room, and you are free to go to any room, keeping in view your interest in the particular paper. So we spent there 3 days, hectic academic exposure, and the 4th day they had a city tour in Barcelona. We were standing in a queue. There were buses out there, and I saw one person wheelchair. One person on wheelchair. He was also in the queue. And we were moving ahead slowly. And when he was in the queue, I was just thinking how he's going to manage the whole city tour. And the kind of system we have in India, like, if there is some handicapped person, so we immediately give him a separate queue. So there was no separate queue also. He was in the queue only. So when his turn came and he was just on the door of the bus, he shifted to the backside door. There was a remote attached to the bus. He took out that remote and, pushed some button. And what happened, like, from the back door, a slider came out and started coming down. When it came down, so he could move onto that platform, again pushed a button. So there was a kind of boundary around him, again pushed out a button. So that platform on which he was now with his wheelchair kept on moving up. And automatically it inserted into the bus, and in bus, the wheelchair was his own chair. Nobody came to his or her help. Nobody came to his or her help. The whole environment, the whole system, the whole transport system, the whole infrastructure was inclusive, barrier-free. And the whole day, he was roaming around. Nobody came to him to help him. He was independently managing everything. Whether he's moving on a uplifted area, or he was moving to some kind of area, whether he was moving on to the bus or he was traveling in the bus, there was no help provided to him. The environment, the infrastructure was such that he was doing all the things of his own. The moment we say somebody, let me help you, you are striking at his self-concept. You make him realize that he is not able to perform the routine activities which he is supposed to do. Now, this is something which we have to achieve. This is what we have to achieve. The national education policy is concerned. There are so many challenges there were so many challenges to, this is not working right. Let me see the slideshow. Yeah. So, as far as national education policies, we all know that this policy is basically the third one. First we had 86, then we had 1986, then it was modified in 1992. Then this policy came after a very, very long time. I'm not going into the details of it, how many chapters it has, but this is what is one of the objective of national education policy. It says universal access to quality education. Education for all was one stage. In Jomtien conference, we talked about quality education for all. And probably now we are not even talking about quality education for all. We are talking learning for all. We are talking learning for all. And when I'm saying learning for all, I've got some reasons to say it. See, right now we have universal access to education. If you just see, what is the enrollment ratio at primary level, you'll find it's very near to 100%. There's no problem at all as far as access is concerned at primary level, I'm talking. But as you go to secondary, as you go to higher education, there's a lot of dropout. And at present, the gross enrollment ratio in higher education is around 26, and policy aims to 50%, which is again on a lower side in comparison to developed countries. But even, taking a challenge to bring gross enrollment ratio in higher education to 50% is a big challenge for us. So initially, we are able to set up infrastructure wherein we can include all the children into education stream. There's no problem with it. But the problem is, when we are going ahead, there is a dropout. And it's a steeper dropout as far as higher education is concerned. Why? There is a dropout into that. And it's not a question of dropout only. It's a question of quality also. When Pratham, an NGO, conducts a report, ASA report, and in ASA report it says that anybody who is supposed to do a particular mathematical calculation in class 4th, even a student who is studying in 10th class is not able to make those operations. A student who should be able to construct a sentence in 4th or 5th class, even 10th class student is not able to prepare a précis in his own write-up. Is not able to write correctly. This is school education. Let me come to higher education. 87% of engineers, computer engineers, in one of the Government of India's report, it says they are not employable. They are BTech computer science, but they are not employable. And when I say employable, it doesn't mean that they do not know the operations. Probably they may be knowing the operations. One thing is that they have an academic degree, which says that they have got 70% marks in that. They have got 80% marks in BTech computer science. So this is one aspect, and we assume that they know things if we accept and believe on our education system. That's again a question mark. But yes, people are getting 70% marks, 80% marks, 90% marks, 100% marks. That achievement is always there, and we are giving them degrees accordingly. Now, when this candidate, along with this degree, goes to the employment market, he is appointed also. And when he is appointed, the employer asks him to do some work, and he doesn't feel confident to do that operation. If he asking, this is a problem and I want a solution in terms of preparation of a software, he doesn't find himself confident to develop that software. So he grooms himself. So now he, through his experiences, through some online mechanism, with the help of his senior, with the help of his friend, he tries to learn that practical aspect of it. This is the second aspect. And third aspect, which is very important, is that, whensoever is a question of giving presentation to his seniors, whensoever is a question of collaborating with his peers, whensoever there is a question of resolving some new issue, creating or developing software for a new situation, altogether different from what he has already done. Whensoever there is a issue of taking decisions, whensoever is a issue of standing in front of the stakeholders and presenting himself, he doesn't feel confident in dealing with words, language. So fluency of language, ICT integration, problem solving, decision making, creativity, innovation, team spirit, leadership, they're lacking in that. Again, I take two examples. One is from school education, one from higher education. PISA, an international survey which evaluates the quality of school children. We were not able to get even total 160 countries participated, and we were 159 in the last survey. And again, pre-COVID, this government, present government, again thought that let's again compete. And, Himachal Pradesh and one, I think, Chandigarh, these two states were selected that they will opt for that evaluation and work accordingly. Science, mathematics, and languages. These are the three things. And further, they have some parameters on which they evaluate. And those criterion, they are not basically, a question paper. It's basically they are testing if they have understood science. So are they competent to handle scientific procedures? If they know mathematics, are they moving up to the judgments? If it's a question of language, are they able to write, speak correctly? So those international parameters, on the basis of that, when we evaluate and when we compete, our students, they are nowhere. Like 160 countries participated and we are at 159th position. Look at this. Look at the quality of school education we have. It's not only school education. If I talk about higher education, there are around 1,000. There are around 1,000 universities, higher education institutions. There are around 42,000 colleges in the country. Now, when there is a QS ranking, on the basis of international parameters, when 1,000 universities of the world, they opt to compete on certain parameters, none of Indian institution is coming in 100, top 100. Two institutions, IIT Bombay and Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. These are institutions which are coming between 150 to 200, 162 and 175, something like that. And none of these two is a central university or a deemed university or a state university. These are institutions of national importance. These are of national importance, meaning thereby there's a lot of competition for the admission. So the best students are entering into these institutions. And then there's a lot of coverage of the central government, a lot of funding to them. So the best resource you have, financial resource, human resource in terms of quality of student who are taking admission. And then also we are coming 162 and 174. Just see if there is a simple graduate coming from an institution. I'm not talking of the best institutions of the world, but an average institution of the world, somebody is passing out at graduate. What kind of jobs do you expect him to take? Does he really feel competent, skilled to do some work? Now, these are some of the issues which are of concern to all of us. When we say learning for all, when we are saying learning, it means we don't want people with simple certificates. We want people who have achieved some domain knowledge, who have achieved some competence, and who have attained some kind of life skills to lead a effective life. Because, when you have a domain knowledge and when you have the skills, probably you get some job. But to sustain job is again a challenge. Because if you can't cooperate with others, if you can't work in a team, if you cannot collaborate with people, if you can't take decisions, if you can't solve problems, if you can't, have, if you don't have language fluency, if you can't make presentations, if you can't make use of simple ICT tools to make yourself effective in the organization, in a working place. And these are all life skills which make you sustain yourself in a work and to grow in your work environment. For the first time in the history of Indian education, one word has taken into the policy. Right now, as policy says that there has to be a universal access to quality education. And when you are talking about quality education, you are basically talking about producing and developing nation's talent and human resources. Like if you say that, 30% of girls, they could not get quality education. So now that is 30% of country's resource who would not be able to contribute into the national productivity. They'll not be adding anything into the GDP of the country. That is a waste resource. Similarly, if you say that there are around 2 to 3% persons in the country who are disabled, and you require 1 or 2 persons, I'm not talking of productivity right now. I'm saying you require a system. You require a system, you require people to assist them to just have a normal life, do their day-to-day life. So what's happening? That 2-3% is a waste. Then you are again on every person, you are having 1 or 2 persons who are helping him to sustain his normal life. So again, that's a wastage of a resource. Similarly, you have tribal population. Tribal population who are living in rural areas, tribal population who is living in even urban areas. If they are not mainstreamed in their attitude towards the society, attitude towards themselves, and making them so competent that they can lead their life into their cultural context. If you have a disadvantaged population, maybe transgender, maybe different kind of disabilities, maybe female, maybe rural people, maybe people living in socio-economically disadvantaged areas. All that is, I was just looking at one post in WhatsApp today, wherein there was a family of 80 persons. Now they are saying there is a family in which there are 80 people, and then the post says that out of this 80 people, there are 10 who are on old age pension. There are itne children, number of children who are getting free, access to education, who are getting midday meal facility. Then, there are few people who are taking this much of money from government of under this scheme. Now, all that, nobody is doing anything. They are not not productive, but they are kind of liability on the exchequer. If you're talking of, and it's not a question of productivity only, as a person, when I'm not capable of doing anything, in the morning, I get up, take a round of my village here and there, come back, take food, then lie down, sleep, then do some household work. In the evening, I sit with my friends. Night, I again come, take food and sleep down. What kind of self-concept do I have? I don't feel worth of myself. There's a girl who can also read. She is more intelligent than the boy in the same house. The boy is given a lot of facilities for education. Girls are not. So there is kind of resentment within. Resentment within. And such kind of person, when becomes an adult, how he or she is going to contribute to the society, not in terms of GDP only, but in terms of social health, emotional health, bringing out the children, the way they are brought out. All these things are reflected, the kind of environment, social, emotional environment the girl is going to create when she experiences disadvantages in the society where she was living. So, there is an agenda of UNESCO. It says Sustainable Development Goals, and Goal 4 of Sustainable Development Goal agenda aims at ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promoting lifelong learning opportunities for all by 2030. And this is what has been adopted by NEP 2020. Now we have an agenda that up to 2020, we are going to give equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. 100% enrollment at primary level, reduce dropout, and increase gross enrollment ratio up to higher education, up to say 50%. Not only that, but trying to bring out the best out of our education infrastructure, meaning thereby we compete with world-class universities. We compete with world-class universities. And when we compete with world-class universities, two parameters which are very important, which leads to quality of higher education. One is academic reputation, and second is citation per faculty. These two things are linked with certain procedures to be adopted by institutions, educational institutions. Academic reputation means, teacher is not only imparting knowledge, is not imparting only information, but teacher is also making them to apply that knowledge for his day-to-day functioning or for understanding his own environment. And not only that, but he is also developing those qualities which help him to create solutions. I give you one example before I move further, because when I'm saying these words, probably it can mean different to different people. If I illustrate that, probably you will understand what I'm trying to say. I'm a person of geography. Somebody said that I'm master's in geography in my introduction also. If I'm teaching clouds is one chapter. Now, when I'm teaching clouds in geography, what I do is I tell them what is evaporation, how evaporation takes place. I tell them what is condensation, how condensation takes place. Then I tell them what is precipitation, how precipitation takes place, and in what form there is a precipitation. There's rainfall also, snowfall also, stain also, like that. And then I tell them that there is variety of clouds. Now, this types of clouds, they can be differentiated with different characteristics, like they are, pure white clouds, they are thick clouds, they are fairy, like cotton clouds, they are black clouds, gray clouds, they are clouds who are very near to Earth, they are clouds which are very far from Earth at a greater height. Now, every cloud has got different characteristics, and the possibility that some precipitation would fall from a specified type of cloud, that is also part of the characteristics. So I teach all these things to my learners in my class. But somebody wants to talk, say something. Somebody is unmuted, I think.
Please mute your microphone. If anybody's microphone is on, please mute it. The voices are very disturbing.
Yeah, I think now they have muted themselves.
Yeah, thank you so much. So,
Kanika Saloy Kakoti, please mute yourself. Kanika, please keep yourself muted.
Okay. Should I proceed?
Yes, please.
So, I taught all that, but my purpose of teaching this content, if is only that he or she appears in the examination, my students appear in the examination and get marks. That's perfectly okay. But is that the purpose? When I say quality of teaching, for quality teaching, should this be the purpose? This is what's happening for the last 75 years in the country. That we have been the slaves, teachers have been the slaves of the curriculum. That we have the curriculum and we start running to complete the syllabus. And rather than reflecting on the curriculum, that why this curriculum was designed, what was the basic purpose through which we have to achieve these learning outcomes. So if the learning outcome is just to disseminate knowledge, perfectly all right. But if the learning outcome was to make my learners capable of making predictions, if the learning outcome was to make my learner to create solutions, so I have to extend from that. I can't stop my teaching here. I have to move away from that. I have to teach in such a manner that they are able to create. Now, how? Like, I'm interacting with them. I'm giving them different kind of problems, actual problems, wherein I engage them to think together and solve their own problems. This is a part of my pedagogy. This is a part of my own teaching. So what I say, there is a problem in my mind, that there is a island which is surrounded by water, sea water. There is no habitation, there is no flora, fauna. We want to develop this island. Help us as a student of geography class, please help us to solve this problem. Now they are sitting together in my classroom and I created some kind of expertise. I divide some content and I am not interacting with them now. What I'm doing is I am trying to help them to interact among themselves. If they have some question, they are in the process of solving that problem. They're interacting with one another. Language is developing. They're writing something. Language is being developed. They're thinking. They're coming with some ideas. The other person counter questions that. No, it can't happen because of this thing. So there is collaboration. Somebody go and get something from internet. We want to resolve this. If they ask me, I don't give answer. I say I just give them the resource which is available around him, which I made them available. So leadership is emerging, team spirit is emerging, and when there is somebody shouting, I just interfere, others are being disturbed. And moreover, why you're shouting? Why can't you, express your point of view in a polite way? Even if you're opposing a particular or you're countering a particular argument. So what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to develop democratic skills amongst my students. And, when they, they resolve problems, they sit together, they collaborate, they work, and then out of that, somebody emerges leadership. I invite that, from every group, one person would come and share his solution. His solution will be countered and questioned by all others. I'm again quiet. And at the most, what I can do is I can just probe something. I make my learners engaged in the classroom. What I'm doing, I'm moving towards quality of learning. This is what national education policy says, that let us not concentrate on only lower objectives of curriculum. And when I'm doing this, one thing which is very important aspect of what I'm saying, when I as a teacher is communicating with my students, I cannot handle to the individual needs of 40 or 50 students at a time. When we are talking of inclusiveness, there is some student who is sitting, who has come from a rural area of Northeast. There's somebody who's coming from South India, Kerala, somebody from Rajasthan, and they all are sitting in a class in a college of Delhi. There is one student who's very intelligent. Another is very creative. One learns by listening to things. One learns by looking at things. One learns by doing the things. One is an abstract thinker. One is a concrete thinker. So you have variety of people. You have few people who are coming from rural background. Somebody is coming from metropolitan. So you have different people. You have males, you have females. You have transgender in the class. You have few people who are, suffering from some learning disability. They all are sitting in the classroom. As a teacher, can I cater to the needs of individual learners? No, I can't. I'm single teacher. The kind of pedagogy I adopt, lecture method, monologue, it cannot cater to the needs of diverse learners. I cannot be an inclusive pedagogue. I cannot be. So if I want that, every learner learns at his own space, with his own abilities, different abilities. So what I have to do is, I have to create an environment in the classroom, such an environment in the classroom wherein students are engaged with one another. They are not engaging only with me. So when they are working in groups, they are into deep learning, and all of them, they are working like they allocate work, keeping in view the strength of different people. Like, when you are assigned a task and you are given a team, you always try to see who can do what work in a better way, because your objective of the group is to reach to the solution at the earliest and the best solution you bring out. So, this is what National Education Policy 2020 speaks of. It says that use of machines in unskilled jobs, need of skilled workforce in areas of science, maths, computer science, requirement of skilled workforce. Now, when we talk of skilled workforce, We are basically looking at one parameter which is internationally acclaimed. We are working on the basis of learning outcomes, higher and better learning outcomes, number one, and the way student support services are provided. They cater to individual needs. For example, as an institution, somebody is taking admission into my department. So how do I reach to different people? If I have to seek admission. See, one thing is that I'm sending it in the newspaper. Now there are people who do not read that newspaper. It is in English. So there are regional languages. So what you can do is you can send an advertisement in the regional language also. So you try to reach some other people. Okay. Now there are certain rural areas. How do you reach them? You try to reach them through pamphlets or by appointing a placement officer who can reach out to those places. You can have some connects with some leaders in different villages. You reach out to that. But then there are certain people who do not read newspaper. They're very active on Facebook. They're very active on Twitter. They are very active on Instagram. They are very active on WhatsApp. So you need to create some digital content for advertising to them. Okay. Now you reach out to those people who are very active on social groups. Then there are few people who cannot see. So you have to create a digital content which through which you can listen. So you try to create audio messages. You try to create video messages. Then you have few people who cannot see. They can hear. They cannot see. Now, for them, you can create some digital content which is in Braille language. What you are trying to do? You are trying to create different media to access more and more people. There are girls from rural areas who are not coming to the domain of education. It is becoming very difficult. Like, in school education, with the support of Sarv Sikkha Abhiyan, most of the girls, most of the people in rural areas, urban areas, they were brought into the access. Through Sarv Sikkha Abhiyan, through Ramsa, Rashtriya Madhyamik Abhiyan, we were able to create such kind of facilities in the schools wherein we could deliver quality education. We could create some kits in the schools which can cater to the needs of disabled people. We were trying to develop some kind of professional development programs under Ramsa which could train how to handle special children. We did all that. Now, when you are, now the girls are grown up. Now parents says, no, you have to get married. We can't afford your higher education. It's of no use. BA bhi kar loge to kya ho jayega? What will happen even if, because they see people around, those who are graduates and are unemployable. They don't possess any skill. A person who did not study at all and was associated with his father in a cycle repair shop is able to earn 10,000 a month. and a graduate doesn't have any capability of doing anything and is unemployed sitting at home. So when you see such kind of people around you, the parents say, why you need to study? There's no need of study. So, the gross enrollment ratio goes down. So, that girl is out of higher education. But can higher education think of certain programs which can provide skills to become a good wife, a good mother, and can attain some skills out of the process of education, that he can earn something sitting at home? So you design that kind of programs and try to reach this disadvantaged group. I'm talking about inclusive curriculum now. I'm talking about inclusive curriculum now. Now, one thing is this. Second thing is, when you get admission, okay. When you get admission, now you have a variety of people. You have disabled people also in your organization. How should you, manage your organization on an administrative level, on a departmental level, on a classroom level, so that they don't feel that they are suffering from some disability? Meaning thereby, one very important aspect is infrastructure. If this is a 4-story building and there is a disabled child, orthopedic disabled child, or a blind or a partial blind, or a person with cerebral palsy, or a person with learning disability. Now, how do you give an infrastructure which is accessible? If library is in the 4th floor, any student doesn't have any problem in accessing library and laboratories in your department. It is a difficult challenge, no doubt about it. A lot of money is required. A lot of insight is required. A lot of, commitment is required. In a country wherein we are not able to cater to the needs of quality education to normal people, today we are talking of inclusive practices, where we are saying that, these days when we have blended learning, now there is a document in front of you. Is this a accessible document? When I'm saying that this is a accessible document or not, what does it mean? That if there is a blind, can this content PDF be converted into a digital content which can be accessible by a blind also? Is this document could become a talking document also? Like somebody doesn't have a sight, so he can hear that. So there is a concept now which is coming up, which is known as accessible documents. So the format of digital content you have, like in online, when we are into online education, we are developing PDF, we are developing PPTs, we are developing videos, we are developing audios. When you are developing this e-content, are you conscious of the fact that this content needs to be read or seen or heard by different types of learners? Those who are with different disabilities. Now this consciousness, now there are mechanisms that you can convert your digital content into a accessible content. We call it accessible. You know, when different type of people with different needs can access that, content with their disabilities. Similarly, there is a repository of books which are accessible books. Samagra, the name of that portal, let me share with you that also. I'm just forgetting the name of this is Sugamya Pustkale. Sugamya, you can write it down, www.sugamya, SUGAMAPUSTAKALAYA.in. Sugamya Pustkale. Now, this is a national depository of accessible format books. I'm going ahead. Right now, in the country, we are not able to produce very quality e-content. We don't have the habit of developing e-content and putting it on some portal wherein people can use it. But now I'm giving a way ahead that how can I as a teacher teach my students with different abilities through digital content. We can have one nodal officer who is looking after the digitalization of the content. And then what can I do is I can, when I'm teaching and my students are facing some difficulty, I have the e-content. Now I am becoming aware that there are ways and means to convert this e-content into a accessible format. So I go to that nodal officer and I say that this is the content. I want you to convert it into accessible format e-content so that students with different disabilities, they can make use of this content. Now, what he's going to do, he will not simply start doing that as a technician. He will go to Sugamya Pustkale.in portal. He'll register himself, and there is a lot of content already available on that national portal, which is in accessible format. So he'll see to it that the content which is given by the teacher, which a student need, a student with certain kind of disability needs, whether that content is already available or not. If it is available, he will download that and give it to the teacher to pass it on to that student who requires it. And if he doesn't have that, so what he'll do is there are techniques through which he can convert that e-content into the format which is an accessible format. So now he'll convert that content into accessible format content, and he will upload on that portal, which is a free portal for getting accessible format e-content. So he will upload it for the use of others. Now, the people throughout the world, at least this is the Indian portal. So at least we can say the people, the teachers and the learners of the country, they will utilize that resource, and there is a direction from University Grants Commission that every institution should register him or herself themselves on that portal and come to know that which are the e-content already available in accessible format. And now there should be a mutual relationship. The content which is already available, use it for the benefit of your diverse learners, and the one which you create, upload it, so that other person, other institution, if required, can use it, and they do not waste that energy into converting the e-content, same e-content into accessible one. Rather, they create some other content into accessible. So different institutions, they are converting existing e-content into accessible formats, but they are not doing repeatedly the same work. Different people, they are working on different, they are uploading there and downloading what they require. Now, this is one of the initiative of Government of India. This is the initiative of Government of India for bringing inclusiveness in teaching learning process. Because, when you have a student, like, if you just see the population of disabled people into higher education is 0.5 or 6. At the stage of primary level, it's around 2%. So for such a small population, every institution cannot invest so much. So there is a need to collaborate and utilize resources in such a manner that we don't waste money and time and energy. We conserve it. One more thing which I'd like to all here, that when you are converting any existing e-content or a print material, a print book, into an accessible format, it doesn't come under copyright issue, because there is a regulation, a international organization, that anybody who wants to convert any print book or any e-content into a accessible format for the benefit of disability people who are suffering with disabilities, so that will not be considered as a violation of copyright. Can we think that every organization, they are creating some pathways which is specially designed for people with different disabilities, so they are not moving along with others who are in rush or wherein there are different vehicles flying. So they have a separate pathway. That pathway is along with different signboards, which again, communicate across the formats. They're talking also. You just come across, like, if you go to, developed countries and there's a museum, you just stand in front of some picture and it starts telling you about that picture, what that picture is all about. You don't know their language. You can translate that into any language you want. They have made their heritage accessible to you, in spite of the fact that you don't know their culture. You are out of their cultural context. You are even out of their language context. It's Spanish they are speaking, but they have recorded into Spanish, but you can listen in English also. National Education Technology Forum. This is one of the recommendation of NEP 2020. When you are saying National Education Technology Forum, it says that there has to be a national forum wherein all technology is to be collaborated. All innovations of using and integrating technology are to be shared with that national forum, and that has to be disseminated to different organizations from there. Similarly, you have assistive technologies. What kind of software is available on your computer? Like I have been to different institutions, different libraries, and some of the libraries, they have a separate section. Like, I'm reminded of one visit which I made in Madurai Kamaraj University. And they have a beautiful library. And in that library, they have around 20 by 20 room. If somebody is coming from the outside, moving up to that room is barrier free. It is on the ground floor. And within that room, there is a washroom also, which is meant basically for disabled people. There is no chair. Like if they are chairs, their chair and their tables are specially designed so that there is no obstruction if somebody is coming there. There are sensors there. There is e-literature available, which can be accessed by people with different disabilities, in Braille also, in audible format also, like that. And they try to collect all that material which is into a digital content or which is there into that format, which can be accessible by disabled people in that 20 by 20 room. And they are developing it by and by. Similarly, in one organization, even in our university, we are initiating that. We have created a special launch for old people, retired professors. Somebody is coming at the age of 70. This was his university. He spent his 35 years of his active life, young life in that university. He is an academician and would like to be connected with academics. You can't just throw him retired and out. You have to provide some kind of support service to your alumni, your ex-employees. Give a comfortable place where there are heaters, there are air conditions, there are sofas. There are some good literary books. You create an accessible environment for old ones. There is a, a library which I visited. In front of the library, I was on NEC inspection, and when we just entered into the premises of the library, we saw that many students, they are sitting on the ground. They're sitting in the ground, having books, having papers, discussing with one another, reading. We went inside, the library was very good. But there were around 100 people sitting outside the library. I said, what, these people? They don't seem to be students? No. They are children coming from students, persons coming from adjoining rural areas, preparing for competitive examinations, out of school children. Somebody is enrolled at NIOS, somebody is doing some private BA, somebody is doing some private MA. I said, how do you allow them into the university? And that's a policy of the university. They're part of it. They are registered with us. We have issued them passes to enter into library. We don't issue them books. If they want to consult books, they can sit inside. We give them facility of Xeroxing. We give them, facility of taking the book to the lawns, but not issuing. After the lawns, they can't go out. They come sometime around 8 o'clock in the morning. They go by 10 o'clock. I said, what about light conditions? That we have provided lights in the grounds. If they want to study, they can switch on lights from there. They are not students. They are not paying anything to the university. We all can do that. There are two aspects of making learning for all. One is, which is in the hand of the teacher, to bring out innovative pedagogies, wherein we are not concentrated on transaction of knowledge or dissemination of knowledge. We have to understand what is the purpose of the curriculum, and we try to conceptualize that purpose, that this curriculum, this syllabus is a means to achieve. What is that something? Teacher has to think about it. And then he should teach in such a manner that the purpose of that curriculum is achieved, not the information possession. This is one thing. So what we are doing is, we are taking our students from mere dissemination of knowledge to quality dissemination of knowledge. One. With this, probably will somehow help our learners to possess quality knowledge, possess quality skills, and to possess life skills, so that they become productive and they become confident that once we pass out from the college, we will be able to earn something. Hum kuch na kuch to kar lenge. Not that I'm unemployable. If I'll not get into civil services, I'll get into PCS. Not that I will start writing articles. I will start teaching people. I will start, start a restaurant and start preparing food for people and earn money out of it. And you give them some skills. You give them an approach to live a happy life. This, a teacher can do it. Second is, teacher, by knowing the provisions of accessibility. Like I gave you one example about accessible formatted e-content and print books, about copyright also. So when we are into the institution, if we know what are the provisions, I'll request all of you. A draft has recently been given by UGC, and the draft name, which is on the website of UGC, Comprehensive Accessible Guidelines and Standards for Higher Education Institutions and Universities. It's a draft for comments. And you will find different kind of disabilities are given, what are the needs, and what are the interventions higher education institutions are supposed to adhere to. Now, at present, I don't think so. Our higher education institutions are really equipped to adhere to what UGC is saying in this draft. But this is a draft which has a vision for coming 10, 20, 30 years. Some very effective institution would pick up the things very quick, and slowly this will become a part of your evaluation also by NEC, because we are very, very prompt in responding to anything which is coming in the parameter. So I think UGC is going to take that initiative also, that they'll make all these kind of things into the NEC parameter. But even even if this is there at NEC also, because so many things, they require a lot of funding, a lot of investment. But ultimately we have to see to one thing, that these institutions are not for profit making. They are basically to provide a learning environment, an accessible environment, and we should try to see to it that how best can we address to the needs of the country. These educational institutions, they are basically organs of, or they are basically the means of addressing to the societal needs, national development. There's so many things to talk about, but let me close my talk here, and we can have some questions if any.
Okay. So thank you so much, Professor Coates, for giving us so much of food for thought. You have touched on some very relevant aspects of NEP 2020 as well as on inclusive education. And we all know, and in fact, we should all realize also that a vision of NEP 2020 emphasizing on universal access to quality education and learning for all will become a reality only when we start giving importance to inclusive education. And I'm sure the participants who are with us today will have some questions for you. So now the floor is open for discussion. And I request a participant, if they have any specific question, kindly unmute and ask your question to our speaker.
Just moving out some like the presentation which I prepared, because I don't feel like talking for some presentation. So those who are interested, just they can go through some statistics, some kind of diversity, and some kind of initiative which we can take up at our own. Like this is also a kind of diversity we have. The cost of education we have to pay, when we are studying in a government institution, when we are studying in a aided institution and a private one. There's so many factors which we need to look at.
Thank you, Professor. Let me break the ice. It was a wonderful presentation. In fact, I should say thought-provoking, thought-provoking, lots of thoughts, which you gave all of us. That will definitely lead us to work hard to go. You have given us the pathways. You very correctly said that we have to create the learning environment, which is very important. We can't go on complaining we don't have this, don't have that. Let us begin to change from ourselves. This is what is important. Secondly, the accessible. So many ways you have shown to all the viewers that how they can take help of the technology, how it can be accessible. I'm sure this will definitely be a way for them to take the pathway. And particularly what I appreciate when you say that the innovative pedagogy, this is the innovativeness, the teacher, they have to think. They have to think the most innovative way, how they can reach the students, how they can approach the students to meet out the differences or to, to go according to the needs. So this is something very important. And it is, after all, my last state that it is we people who have to go forward. Yes. We can't go on blaming that my principal is not giving anything, my government is not giving anything. No, that is not. We are the teaching professionals. We should be very much dedicated and think that what is our responsibility, how we should go forward. And you have given us some of the very, very important, pertinent ways how we should move. Thank you very much, Professor Amit Coates. It was really excellent and wonderful presentation you have given. I think there'll be some questions from others. I have just started.
Professor Nilima, it is always a wonderful. Yeah, please.
No, nobody has opened up till now, and maybe one of the reason being that all the things that he has talked about
to break the ice.
Span of time, he has touched every single aspect. As I said, given us plenty of food for thought. It was really a very thought-provoking presentation, wonderful in fact, and we have learned a lot. In fact, I don't know about others, but I really have learned a lot. And yes, I agree with ma'am when she says that instead of playing the blaming game, most of the time we are full of complaints. We are not getting this, not that and all. We can all think of innovative ways of, reaching out to our students, no matter where they belong to. The location is not important. Our innovativeness is what that matters, to bring learning closer to them, to get them involved, to make them creative thinkers, critical thinkers, and then they themselves will take the task forward. The learning process will get easier if we can get the students involved in the process of learning. So friends, all the participants, once again, I request you, if you won't get this opportunity again very soon, so please feel free to clear your doubts if you have, or if you have any observations to make also, you can unmute yourself.
See, these platforms are basically not for question and answers. These are the platforms where we learn from one another. So any of your experience, anything which you want to share, we want to comment, most welcome.
Sir, I would like to thank you very much for this wonderful talk. It was really, really mind-blowing. I just couldn't, stop thinking as to the beautiful way that you have been opening out the NEP 2020 in front of us with your wonderful speech. It was simply opening it out. For me, it was all along I've been thinking as to how to mobilize all the teachers to actually understand this, the method of teaching that we are talking about. And today it has been a huge window that has opened out, and you have given me the strength to really work for it. Thank you so much, sir. It's really very wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Saida ma'am, for coming forward, at least again, breaking the ice, as I call it. She is a very enthusiastic teacher. She's a very enthusiastic teacher and very involved too. And it's always a pleasure to hear your views. And anybody else?
Professor Court, let me tell you, Saida, she just interacted with you. She has very good experience, working with the autistic children. Yeah, so she is really actually her sister has a foundation here in Guwahati.
Great,
so she's highly interested and often spends her time.
Actually, you need very different kind of personality. Those who can really empathize, who
yes,
the different kind of people. Only those can really work with people with different kind of special needs. Because
you're very right, sir.
as a very objective person, as a very intellectual person, probably you can't reach to people. You have to be emotionally attached. You have to be very empathizer that way. So
Absolutely.
You really need to very effectively engage with such kind of learners. Great.
Thank you so much, sir.
So if there are no more questions from the participants, and I'll take it for granted that they have actually gained a lot, learned a lot, understood whatever you have shared with us today. And if they have, later on, if they have any queries and they are a little hesitant to, open up right now, I'll definitely share your numbers with them. They can directly communicate also and get their answers.
Right.
So we are nearing the end of our program. So the time has come to offer the vote of thanks. So on behalf of Council for Teacher Education, Assam chapter, I would first like to thank our dynamic resource person, Professor Amit Kords, for being with us today amidst his hectic schedule and giving such a wonderful presentation. Sir, thank you once again. We would definitely look forward to more such sessions in the future too. And every time you come like a breath of fresh air, bringing a new aroma to our mates. Yeah. So thank you once again.
The way you people pamper your expert, the experts can't even say no.
You are indispensable.
Very much.
Thank you so much once
and
again.
My next floral tribute goes to the CTEF International Secretary General and Chairman of the Assam chapter, Professor Nilima ma'am, our very dynamic leader. It is under her guidance that CTEF Assam chapter is flowering, and we are getting the inspiration from her. So when we have a good leader, things become easier for us. We just need to follow her. And definitely, she'll take us to heights. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And again, another tribute, flower tribute to all the participants who joined us today through Zoom. And we are grateful that you have joined us and given us the support. And we hope that you will continue to give us the support in our future sessions too. And then thank you to all the viewers who watch us on YouTube live stream. And because of various engagement, maybe they were not able to join us directly, but no matter what, they have at least joined us through live stream, and maybe they will give us their feedbacks later on. Thank you. Thanks to Gratia Technology. Without their support, we would not be able to organize programs of this kind. They are always with us. They are always with us. And we express our gratitude from the heart. Thank you. Thank you for being with us. And then thanks to our anchorer, Mrs. Debastuti Sharma, for opening up a program with her smiling presence and her wonderful, warm welcome address too. And lastly, thanks goes out to everyone whose name might have been left out by me, but I owe thanks to all of you, because without your support, CTEF Assam would not be able to move ahead. We look forward to your presence. We look forward to your support in the distant future too. And thank you once again for helping to make this evening a great success. Thank you once again, Professor Amit Kaur.
And I thank Dr. Archana Bhattacharya, our working vice chairman, for all the, not say you are always working very hard, but for your wonderful moderation, for your wonderful anchoring when needed. And indeed, all these factors has made today's webinar very successful.
Thank you, Baidu. Thank you, ma'am.
I just one on the screen, I can see Dr. K. Hukatosu. He's joined from Nagaland.
Oh,
he's
wonderful.
our ERC. He is our ERC member. Can I just request you to say a few words?
Yes, yes.
Please, can I just I have seen you now.
Yourself. Please unmute yourself.
Please unmute.
Thank you, ma'am. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, this is a very, very good privilege for me by, participating in this webinar. And in fact, I have, benefited a lot through the, inspiration and presentation of our Professor Amit Kaur. Sir, I'm very grateful to you. Of course, I'm no more in the classroom, I'm no more in the college, but of course, I'm a part of the administration. But if I get the opportunity, I will also go back to classroom, college, and to inspire my students. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
That's wonderful, Dr.
Thank you. Actually, after listening to you speaking on so many different aspects of the teaching learning process, I myself, I wanted to re-attire, go back to the classroom again.
Very true, very true.
Thank you.
That's really wonderful.
So we have finally come to the end, and now it's time for the national anthem. So I request Baban to kindly play the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you. Now
It
it was a wonderful webinar, but because to complete the formalities, I have to declare that the webinar has come to an end. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And next time, I think Professor Amit Kout will give a pertinent issue by himself. Okay, an area in either you are in higher education, so you give us an area in higher education. That I have got you again for the next webinar.
The choice will be yours. The choice will be yours.
Yeah, choice will be his. Choice will be his.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Shall I
much.
leave now?
Thank you.
Yes. I'm also leaving.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.